and it is Carrie from Carrie Buys Houses. Good morning to you all. I like to say it is always a seller's market. And today we're going to be talking about something kind of funny. I was talking to my husband the other day, and we were talking about all of the crazy stuff that happened to us when we were living in Georgia and we were first starting out and investing. And so I wanted to share the story of when we moved into one of our flips that we were selling. Oh my gosh, so many experiences with this one. So I'll paint you a little story. I had Cameron was about to turn 2. I had just gotten pregnant with our youngest. We were living in a rental in Georgia because my husband just had a short-term contract there. So we weren't living there for very long, so we ended up renting this house. And one night I put Cameron, my 2-year-old, to sleep, and I was coming down the stairs and I looked up and there was this big storm happening outside, and I looked up and there was water pouring out of the ceiling, and I'm like, that's not supposed to be happening. So we called the property management company, and lo and behold, the roof was very old on this rental, and the roof started leaking. And I mean, like, not just leaking, like we had like a big bucket down there. And of course, like, first time mom, I'm like, oh my God, the mold, and like it's pouring in our house, and I freaked out. And we just so happened to be renovating a house up the street. And we had just finished up the renovation. This house was literally 3 houses up. And it's funny how we acquired this house, because I had made these really cheesy signs that I put on my car. And we were living in this really nice community. It was a golf country club community. And I put these, cheesy signs on my car. And my husband was like, I don't want to be driving around with those signs. Those look so cheesy. We're not going to get any, leads off of them, because it was a big cartoon of me, basically. And it was like pointing, and it was like, I buy houses cash. And he's like, I don't want to drive around this neighborhood with those signs. Well, what happened? The neighbor saw one of the signs and she was like, oh my gosh, you buy houses for cash? I have a house right here. I need to sell it. I don't even know if I want to do the rehab on it, but I want to jump on this cruise ship with my husband in 2 weeks, and I need this house gone out of my life because we've had so many tenants come in here and there's so many repairs. And so we ended up buying this house, and it was so convenient because it was 3 houses away from where we were currently living. So like every morning I would go in my stroller with the baby, and I would see all my contractors, and I'd be like, hey guys, just checking in, which they hated because they knew I lived right there. So, I knew when they came, I knew when they left, I knew what was going on in the house. I was constantly there. And they'd be like, oh God, here she comes again with her baby stroller. So the house that we were living in, the roof started leaking. And I was like, oh my God, we need to get out of this house. And so the property management company said, well, we can put you up in a hotel room. And I'm like, no, that's not happening. Like, we've got Adrian, we've got Cameron, I'm pregnant with Danny, like we've got our dog. I'm not moving into a hotel room. I'm like, oh, perfect. We have this house up the street that we're renovating, and we just finished the renovation. So why don't we move into the house while we're selling it? And it will be perfect, because I think my husband's contract was finishing up in the next maybe 4 months, 6 months. Tops. And I was like, oh, this is like perfect timing. We'll move into this house. We'll live basically, free, because we're not paying rent anymore. And while we're selling this house, we'll just enjoy this rehabbed home. Great idea. So we packed up all of our stuff. Luckily, we didn't have a lot of stuff because the house we were renting was partially furnished when we moved in there, because we knew we were only going to be there short term. So we hadn't brought all of our stuff from Florida. So we moved into this half-empty house, and I'm like, oh, perfect opportunity to buy some new staging furniture, which we still have and, we still use. But I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So we move into the house. We have a cat. We have a dog. We have 2 boys, and we have us. And so we put the house on the market. And oh my gosh, like keeping this house clean with all of the animals and all of the people was just like a nightmare. I was like crazy person. Every time I would like see Cameron going down the hall and he'd like be putting his fingers on the nice painted walls, I'd be like, fingers off the walls, fingers off the walls. Like this all the time. I was like, clean up your mess. Don't touch the walls. Don't get water on the walls in the bathroom. I was like, they probably hated me. But, and then every time we had a showing, we'd have to leave the house. And so we'd have to make arrangements for the cat, and we'd have to take the dog with us, and I'd have to load up the caravan to get out of the house so that like people could come see the house, and then people were coming back for second showings, and I'm like, this is so maddening and frustrating, you know? So we ended up putting the house under contract. And what happened was we ended up selling the house 3 months before my husband's contract ended. So then we had to go again to another house. We had to move into an apartment for 3 months, month to month. I was kind of like that person who like travels all the time, and they travel so much that they're sometimes like they wake up and they're like, what country am I in? I was kind of like that with our houses. I'd like wake up and I'd be like, what house are we in? Are we in Florida? Are we in Georgia? Are we in the rental? Are we in the rehab? Are we in the apartment? I don't even know, right? So I learned so many lessons from moving into our renovation that we were selling. Number one, it is no fun selling a house that you live in when you have people coming in and out all the time. You're trying to keep it clean. You just did this beautiful renovation, and you've got kids running around, and you know, I've got like my son pulling open and closing the new cabinet doors and like leaning on them and using them as like a playground. That is no fun. And so what I learned from this whole experience of selling this beautifully renovated home is the challenges and the headaches that homeowners go through when they contact us. And I now, like after that experience, I realized the benefit of selling to a cash investor, because when you sell to a cash investor, you don't have all these people coming in and out of the house. You just have that one buyer. You don't have to be cleaning up the house all the time like we were doing. It would have been so easy to turn around and sell that house to a cash investor who would have bought it quickly, and then we could have moved on to our next place. Now, in that situation, we didn't want to move quickly, but it just so happened that we did, so on we went to the next house. But I really saw the benefit of selling to a cash buyer when I myself went through that process of moving in, keeping it clean, getting out of the house every time we showed it. So I just wanted to share that experience with you. We've gone through so many of these challenges and these scenarios that really have helped me become a better investor, I think, because you know, I help homeowners that are going through the same situations and the same scenarios. So thank you all. If anyone you know has a house that they need to sell, please give us a call at carriebuysHouses.com. All of our contact information is there. That is it for today, and I will see you tomorrow for TGIF. Thanks.